What's the most wholesome thing a stranger has done for you? The guy next to me on a plane once woke me up when the flight attendant came around with ice cream and got an ice cream so that I could have too. I'll never forget that man. When I was in my early 20s, I ran out of gas 2 blocks from a gas station and had no money. A man came up to my car with a jug of gas and filled my car for me. I asked him for a way to pay him back and he said, "I have a daughter your age and I know how hard it is. Merry Christmas," and he walked away. I will always remember this man. So nice. So giving. A guy in France, I asked for directions. Not only he walked me to the place, but he also kept me company and chatted while I visited it. He left after 15 minutes though because he had an appointment. When I was working as a cashier, an older man pulled out $1 and asked if I wanted to see something cool. Slightly skeptical, I said sure. He folded it into a little shoe and gave it to me and it was the cutest thing. Then he told me, "Well, you can't just have one shoe," and folded another into a second shoe, and I still have them on my desk because I didn't have it in me to unfold them. Many years ago, when my brother and I were traveling to Finland on a whim and most places were booked out, a Finnish student we encountered and asked for a youth hostel spontaneously let us sleep in her dorm's living room. For a few days, she even gave up her own dorm room for us and stayed at her estranged husband's place. She showed us around, bought us some typical Finnish food and sweets, and was just incredibly nice towards 2 naive foreigners. We stayed in contact for a bit until she went abroad, and sadly I never managed to find her again. This was before Facebook and she had a very common name. But I hope she knows how much I appreciated her kindness. There's a spot in the building I work at that nobody wants to work in. It's the coldest area in the building because there's an opening that doesn't close and doesn't have heat, so you can't even eat food safely because the wind will blow it away. I was moved from where I usually am and wasn't prepared for how cold it would be there. I could barely handle money because my fingers felt frozen. A customer noticed how cold it was and without even asking if I was cold, he took off his gloves and gave them to me. I have no idea what his name was, but it was the most thoughtful thing a complete stranger has ever done for me. I still have the gloves too. Not me but my sister. She got severely sunburned while on holidays in Sri Lanka. We thought she was feeling better as she spent the whole previous day in bed. We went on a trip to a waterfall in the jungle. We were friends with locals who brought us. After swimming in the water, her skin starts burning to the point where she is in tears and won't let anyone touch her. We have nothing to help her. Maybe 5 minutes later, some local villagers appear with aloe vera plants and proceed to gently rub it onto her skin. Total strangers who saw the situation went to their house and brought the aloe vera. It was so kind I couldn't believe it. We ended up talking to them and they made us all dinner, which we ate together from a bucket in the middle of the jungle. Unforgettable. He helped me change a flat tire, recommended a place for me to go to the next day to get it checked out. When I got there the next morning, he had stopped by to drop off his business card and to tell them to take good care of my vehicle. When they called me to tell me that the car was ready, they also told me that he had paid for the new tire. Still can't believe it. You don't get people who do that for someone they have never met before. Many years ago, when my brother and I were traveling to Finland on a whim and most places were booked out, a Finnish student we encountered and asked for a youth hostel spontaneously let us sleep in her dorm's living room. For a few days, she even gave up her own dorm room for us and stayed at her estranged husband's place. She showed us around, bought us some typical Finnish food and sweets, and was just incredibly nice towards 2 naive foreigners. We stayed in contact for a bit until she went abroad, and sadly I never managed to find her again. This was before Facebook and she had a very common name. But I hope she knows how much I appreciated her kindness. When I was in elementary, I forgot I was getting picked up that day and hopped on the bus. I got home but didn't have a key, so I sat outside. LA heat was bad. This lady slightly down the road saw me and let me go to her house for some snacks and juice and called my mom. Mom rushed in to find my dumbass admiring the lady's glass chess pieces. I don't remember her that well. Happened about 10 years ago, but I'll never forget what she did. Edit. Oh my damn. My first silver. Thanks so much, my guy. A year or two ago I was on a long road trip, doing about 90 on the highway. There was a guy behind me for at least 2 hours, not tailing me, but we were both going about the same speed. Out of nowhere he speeds up like crazy, cuts me off and then slows down to the speed limit right in front of me. I had to slam the brakes and I was really pissed off. Not even a minute later we drove past a cop. After we passed the cop he speeds up to 80-90 again. He must have been using a GPS that alerted him to police on the road, and he was nice enough to cut me off so I wouldn't get a speeding ticket. Was really awesome. The first time I had to move for college, I went to the nearest city and took a train that would have taken me to the city in which I was going to live. The train stopped halfway and wasn't going anywhere for the rest of the day, due to a strike. So I was stuck there. Some random guy then said to me, "Hey, my sister is coming in a minute. We are going back to city I was coming from. Do you need a ride?" I accepted against better judgment, but he was really nice. Didn't even ask me to pay for gas or anything like that. Brought me back to the city and pointed me to some buses I could take. The hilarious part was calling my mum telling her I was in some stranger's car about 3 hours after getting out of her house. I once ran my car into a ditch on the side of a country highway and a sweet couple stopped to make sure I was okay. They called a family friend with a tow truck to help remove my car from the mud, and while we waited I sat in their backseat and sobbed too. They helped calm me down and didn't accept any money I tried to offer them for their kindness. I was able to send them a thank you card, but I'll never forget how much they felt like my parents in that moment. My 4 kids, husband and I were traveling to see family and stopped at a Red Robin for dinner. While waiting for a table, a gentleman next to us sneezed and I said bless you without thinking about it. We were shown our table shortly after and we ate our dinner. When the bill came, the waitress told us our bill had been paid for by someone who appreciated the blessing I gave him and wanted to give us one back.